Welcome to a Mick, a Mook, and a Mike.
Hosted by four-time Emmy-nominated producer
Frank Pace. And retired New York City firefighter, 9/11 first responder, and Vietnam vet, Billy O'Connor.
Today's guest,
founder of Blimpie Sandwiches, Tony Conza.
My brother,
Frankie, how you doing, pal? How's everything?
is that the way you talk in real life?
I'm a little deaf. I'm always a little loud. You know what I mean? I'm always a bit loud.
It's the Mick and the
Look
Mook.
at me in real life. You know me in real life. What do you think? I'm some kind of AI? What?
I mean, you're talking normally before we come on. Derek will vouch for me. You're talking normally when we come on, and then when we come on, hey, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
It's like you walked into a circus.
Hey, well, we have a real how you doing, because our guest today is Tony Conza, founder of Blimpies. But we'll get to Tony in a minute or two. What you guys think of the elections?
You mean the elections with the Democrats sweep there, you mean?
I mean the elections, whatever elections you want to talk about.
Okay, you mean, well, the people make themselves pretty clear. I mean, I got my buddy,
Blinky,
right?
Yeah, I knew.
His daughter is a congresswoman from the Bronx, and she ran as a Republican, and she made it last 2 years ago. But this time she got crushed. And you know what happened? So many people came out and voted during the primaries for Mondami. It was more people voted for mayor in New York since 1969. She said that she got more votes. She got more votes the first time around that even voted this time around. Like so many people voted that she got knocked out because people were really crazy upset about.
I'm going to ask you a hard question.
Okay.
Are you hardwired into the computer?
He's going to say, "Yeah, I'm plugged in."
I don't know. I guess so. I had no problem with this computer before.
Yeah, because
it's got better internet.
Yeah, well, you're sort of fuzzying. Are you seeing that on your screen, Derek?
Maybe you got both, Frank.
We'll change. It'll change. We'll pick up the hot feed, the good feed later. In post.
So what did you think? It was to me, it was a mandate on Trump. I mean, everybody turned out because they're pissed off at what's going on.
That's what I would think. I mean, shit, they got swamped, and now, in view of the Epstein files maybe being released, although Derek's shaking his head and saying no. But if in fact Putin's got pictures of Trump giving Bill Clinton a blowjob, that may put it over the top.
That would.
I don't know about that one. That was a little far out. But I tell you what, one of the Russian ambassadors did say. He told Trump to remind Trump that not only Mossad has pictures of his various picadillos, but he said Russia has it as well.
Since when do you censor yourself?
Various fuck-ups, various picadillos. But I thought it was a mandate against Trump, and I think it's going to continue. I mean, he was pretty smart demanding that the Justice Department investigate all the Democrats, right? That might be involved with Epstein. Because I'm thinking now that they're under investigation, he can say the files can't be released because it's an ongoing investigation.
Well, that's why Biden or Obama didn't release the files, because I'm sure Clinton's involved, and Biden's son also.
Oh, you think Biden's son involved too?
Oh, they're involved.
Yeah. Oh, Tony Conza.
There he is.
Hey,
Tony Conza, how you doing, pal?
all right.
Let me give you a proper introduction. In our book, we mentioned polio mozzarellas.
The polio mozzarella.
And you guys might ask, what's a polio? And a polio is the kind of wet cheese you get in a New York deli, but a poor imitation wrapped in a grocery chains put on people who don't know any better. So our next guest, Tony Conza, made a fortune, and I mean a fortune, slicing real meats and real mozzarella. And he knows the difference between gabagool and Coca-Cola. How you doing, pal?
The worst is when somebody says they want manicotti. That drives me out of my mind.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
Billy O'Connor and Billy
Tony.
O'Connor there, and Derek Harris is with us also. How you doing, pal? You in New York now?
I'm doing good. Still in New York. We're leaving on Tuesday if United Airlines cooperates. Going to Miami. We live in Miami in the winter.
Hey, Derek, how's
So-
Tony's audio?
I'm getting a lot of background noise. Is that?
yeah, it's
Turn up Billy's mic.
yeah, it's because of this guy right here. I
Oh,
turned
yeah.
okay.
yeah.
Because wow, what a
Well,
difference! Just
Yeah.
Billy, put your hand up when you want to talk, and then Derek will open up your mic. Tony,
Well, I'm glad. I'm happy that you guys are. You know all about this Italian slang that we used to use all the time.
Yep.
You know,
What?
like there's capicola, there's gabagool, and
Gabagool,
prosciutini, there's manicotti, the pasta fagioli, and and it wasn't just for food. It was like if you wanted to call somebody stupid or crazy, you said he was stonad.
Stonad.
Stonad. The real word, of course, is stonato, but nobody said that. They said stonad, and you had to use the hand gesture too. Stonad, stonad.
That's great.
So, Tony, you
And
started.
and sometimes even with the hand gestures, you didn't even need words. Like when a mob boss would go,
Such
That line in Pope Greenwich Village when Roberts was talking to Charlie, he says, the horse he's got he's got real quality, the horse. He goes, his father was a no-dick piece of garbage, but the mother had champion genes. He goes, she had no-dick piece of garbage.
So Tony, you started Blimpies in 1961.
oh, okay, we're back.
Oh,
so
now we got Tony on two screens.
okay, hang
Hey.
on.
You can call me Stonad now, right?
Derek's trying to work this out.
Okay, let me figure out which one. Okay, there we go.
Okay,
Wow.
Billy,
We okay now?
close Billy. Yeah, close Billy's mic.
All right, I'll close it.
I got it, Billy. I'll handle it.
All right,
Actually, it's better if you do it. That way, when you want to talk, you can turn it on.
so Tony, you started Blimpies in 1961. What were you?
64.
64. How old? You were 17.
I think I was about 12,
And how? Why don't you tell me about it?
Okay, well, I grew up, in Jersey City, New Jersey, and went to high school and I went to college for 1 year. I studied accounting, and I said, this is too boring. I can't do this anymore. So I quit college and went to my dad. My dad worked for the New York Stock Exchange for 45 years on the floor of the exchange. And I said, Dad, can you get me a job? So he got me a job with the old E.F. Hutton. You remember them?
Yep.
And I was an order clerk on the floor of the exchange. So, today everything is totally, electronic. Yeah. But in those days, if you wanted to buy some stock, you had to call your broker, and he called down to the floor, and I took the order, and I got a broker on the floor. So I worked there for about 3 years, and then, I was looking to kind of advance myself, so I asked them if they could put me in the trading department upstairs, which they did, and I went in the trading department and started working there. And then I worked there for a couple of years, and then one day it was a guy who was Puerto Rican on the trading desk, and he and I became pretty good friends. And one night he and I were out having drinks, and he said to me, if you think you're going anywhere with this company, forget about it. You're not one of them. Those Connecticut wasps.
Yeah.
So shortly after that, uh, I run into a couple of high school friends at a party. We started talking about going into business. And we talked about a sandwich that we heard about from the Jersey Shore. We used to go for weekends, summer vacations. The next day, we took a drive down the shore, tasted the sandwich, and the concept of a salad on a sandwich just, wasn't being done in Jersey City or New York. So we said, gee, people would love this sandwich, let's open a sandwich place. Of course, we had a little problem. Nobody had any money. But we managed to convince a friend of ours to loan us a few $1,000s, and we took a location in Hoboken and fixed the place up ourselves, bought a bunch of used equipment, and started selling sandwiches.
And how long did it
And,
take you to open your second and third shop?
well, we were open, it wasn't long. We were open for about 4 months in our first store, selling a lot of sandwiches. And there were 3 of us originally, so we said, we should each operate a store. So, and this time we had something that we didn't have before. Now we had cash flow, right? So we didn't pay the bread guys, so we could pay the contractor, and we didn't pay the turkey man. So, and we were able to get 2 more stores open.
I'm sure you
And
paid
again,
the mozzarella guy.
yeah, right.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yes. So then, so the stores were all doing a lot of business. We were selling a lot of sandwiches. Let's put it that way. And then people started coming to us and saying, "This looks like a great idea. How do we get one of these?" And franchising was kind of a new thing at that time, and there were no franchise laws like there are today. So we quickly put together a franchise agreement and started selling franchises.
And you
And
ultimately sold in early 2000s, and you were at 132
132.
million in sales.
Uh, and you gave me that number. I'm not sure what that number was, but we had 2,200 locations when we sold it.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you react? Did you react to all that success in the beginning?
Well, again, we were selling a lot of sandwiches, but the problem was we weren't making a lot of money. We weren't making any money because we paid attention to what we call in the restaurant business the front of the house, which is, how good your food is, how your marketing, how your store looks. All those things we were very good at, but we were ignoring the back of the house, which is what things cost. So we were selling a lot of sandwiches, but we weren't making money. And just a quick story, because we were selling franchises now, we didn't want to keep selling them out of the back of the store, so we took an office location and we fixed it up. And one day I was sitting in our office, and this guy comes busting through our door, this big guy, and he had on overalls and boots with turkey shit on them. And he comes over to our conference table and he bangs his fist down and he said, "You owe me $10,000 and I want my money." So he was the turkey supplier, and $10,000 in those days was a lot of money.
Right.
So it was kind of a wake up call. We needed to figure out how to make money in this business, which we did, and we eventually got the thing on track. And
How many locations did you have at that time, do you think? Do you remember?
we probably had 10, maybe
Okay.
15.
Right. So you were just
Yeah.
you were making money and putting money back into into the business in order to expand.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But we weren't, in a lot of cases, we weren't paying our suppliers, so we could use the money for other reasons, which is what happened with the turkey man.
Right.
Between 1983 and 1990, your business expanded from 1 million to 120 million in 7 years.
You're throwing these numbers at me, which I don't.
That's an amazing growth.
I could probably tell you the
Amazing
number
growth.
of
I mean,
stores, but they're not the, not the those kind of numbers.
What do you attribute the success of the stores to outside of putting salad on a sandwich? Was it fresh meats? I know Billy always says the key to a good sandwich is the bread.
Well, yeah. I mean, when we first opened, we used a Italian bakery, so they used to deliver us fresh bread every day. And then, at some point, we decided that we should bake our own bread. So we started putting ovens in the stores, and we would get the bread in just as dough, and we would make our own bread, bake them fresh every day. So the bread is absolutely totally important. But we always used quality meats. That's why a chain like Subway, and I don't want to take anything away from them because they have, I don't know, 40,000 stores or something. But I never liked their sandwiches. I always thought they were cheap and low quality. We always had good quality sandwiches.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with the name Blimpie?
Well, originally when we discovered the sandwich, they were called submarine sandwiches, and then in different places we found out they were called some other different things, hoagies,
Heroes,
wedges.
That's where
Yeah,
I grew up. We had wedges.
yeah,
Yep.
in New Orleans, the poor boys. But we used
poor
to call them
boys.
heroes.
Yeah,
We used to call them in the
heroes,
Bronx.
exactly. But a hero was more like a meatball, and
Well, Billy's my hero then, because he's the biggest meatball I know.
Hey.
And you're gonna take that?
Tony's gone.
Why does that keep happening?
I don't know.
He's actually.
I shut off my mic. I figured you guys would stop the feedback.
No, Tony's gone though.
Oh,
Yeah, unless you think he's normally that's the date.
It's still recording, but he's on there.
sounds good.
Well, while we wait for him to return,
Yes.
Blimpies was sold in January 2002.
Here,
uh,
here.
Yeah, it was just dropping off. Tony?
yeah, just
Okay.
totally went out. Yeah.
Okay.
Is your computer hardwired into the?
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a way to do that. Yeah, and it seems like his connection's pretty good, so it just must be unstable.
Maybe it's the weather in Southern California because it is raining here, and it's like anytime it rains out here, it's like 17 inches of snow back in New York.
Right.
Well, maybe maybe it didn't like that I called the sandwiches Blimpie.
So how'd you come up with the name Blimpie?
Okay, so I was telling you that all these other names existed for that kind of sandwich, and we didn't want to use anybody else's terminology, so we just thought, the sandwich is shaped like a airship,
Right.
like a blimp. Put an IE on the end of the word blimp, and that was it. And that was the big market research,
Now you would have paid $1.5 million for someone to come up with Blimpie.
Exactly.
And then you expanded down south too, didn't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, we started opening stores in Atlanta, Georgia, which became a major area for us to develop. We had a lot of stores in Georgia, and we just expanded all over the country. Just going back.
I don't know. I don't know whether you met Jay Thomas's friend Eddie Herbert, but Eddie Herbert worked at a Blimpie's in Louisiana.
He did.
In
Yeah, I
in
did know
Baton
Eddie.
Rouge.
Yeah,
Yeah, Baton Rouge.
that's funny. I don't remember that.
Red Stick,
yeah.
Baton Rouge.
So Tony and I know each other through the late great Jay Thomas. How did you meet Jay?
Through my well, I lived with a girl from Louisiana for many years,
Good for you.
and her girlfriend was. Did you know Carol? Her girlfriend Carol.
No.
Yeah, no, maybe not. Well, Carol was my girlfriend Mary's close friend, and Carol was a good friend of Jay's.
I know Mary. He went out with Mary McMillan, but I didn't know Carol.
Oh, Mary. This was Mary Vetta, not Mary McMillan. I remember her too, though.
So you guys hit it off?
Yeah, so that's how we met, and yeah, became really good friends over the years. And, I read your chapter about in your latest book about Jay, and brought tears to my eyes. It was very sad. I know you were out there to see him at the end, and so was I. I saw him probably 2 weeks before he died. So
Yeah, he never lost his sense of humor, though.
oh,
4 or 5 days before he passed, I was there with Eddie, and his mother-in-law was in the kitchen with his wife Sally, and his mother-in-law was like 95 or so. And he looked in the kitchen and he looked at me. He looked in the kitchen and he looked at Eddie, and he said, "I can't believe that old bitch is going to outlive me." So,
yeah. Yeah, he can make a joke out of anything, right?
and he often did. And he often did. So what have you been doing since you retired from Blimpie's?
Well, like I said, that I worked on Wall Street. I worked on the floor of the stock exchange. I worked in the trading department. And my dad worked for 45 years, so I grew up with a Wall Street Journal on my coffee table, so I've always been interested in the financial markets. And one of the things that I spend a lot of time now is with stock market. So I do, I'm not a day trader, but I do regularly trade in the markets.
Oh, so
And
okay.
also my wife Yvonne is the writer. And whenever she writes something, she gives it to me to edit. So I'm a pretty good editor, also.
That's cool.
Wow.
What did your dad think when he started seeing your name pop up in the Wall Street Journal and in Fortune magazine and all those things? He must have been
Well,
pleased.
well, my mom, when we opened our first store, my mom came in to check it out, and she saw me behind the counter in an apron and, slicing the gabagool. And she started to cry. And I knew what she was thinking, yeah, my son was working on Wall Street with a suit and tie, and now here he is,
She wasn't crying out of tears of joy. She was crying for shame. Derek, can you negate Billy's microphone? Yeah, thank you. So what did he think what did she and he think when they learned of your success? I mean, it was
Well,
praise.
my parents were, I always hear stories about people having bad childhoods, upbringings, but my parents were fantastic people, and they were always big supporters of mine. And, they never had any money, but so I started working when I was 14 years old. I worked in a grocery store. Uh, but my parents were always big supporters of mine, so they were very proud when, I was able to achieve what I achieved.
How long did that take? How long when did they feel like you were a success?
I mean, I don't know if I could pinpoint the exact time, but certainly one of the things was, you know, we hired a new advertising agency because we were interested in really building the brand. And I don't know if you remember the agency. They were Kirschenbaum and Bond. So we hired the agency, and they came in and they did a bunch of research. Um, they talked to me, they talked to the staff, they talked to franchisees, and then they called a meeting to the, you know, so I was at the meeting, some of my staff, and we had a franchisee council at that time. And at the meeting, you know, Richard Kirschenbaum talked about the brand and about how you build a brand and all that stuff. And then he came over to me and he pointed at me and he says, "You're going to be in the commercials." And I was like, "What?" I said, "Richard, I never acted a day in my life, you know?" And he said, "You can do this. You have the passion. You can do this." So the next thing I know is I'm at Silver Cup Studios in Queens, and I had to sing to the sandwich a cappella. It was an
Well,
old Leo Sayer song called "I Love You More Than I Could Say."
well, why don't you sing it a little bit for us, Tony?
What was what?
Why don't you sing it a little bit of it for us?
Now?
Yeah.
No. No, I can't. I can't do it now.
But when your parents saw that, they said, "That's my boy."
Yeah. Well, yeah. I went in to do a bunch of TV spots. You know, a bunch of radio spots, and that certainly felt like success when we got to that point. You know.
So can you take it? Why don't you make a sandwich for us visually? So you got some bread and you slice it in half. Then what do you do?
Oh well, then we have a slicer machine. We always did everything, you know, in front of the customer.
Right.
So we would take a piece of ham, put the ham on the slicer machine, you know, slice it, put it in your hand, and put it on the sandwich. Then take the salami or whatever else is going on that sandwich. Same thing, you know. Each slice, 8 slices of salami. It was like 4 slices of ham, 8 slices of salami, 4 slices of provolone cheese, and then it moves to the dressing station, and you put on lettuce, tomatoes, onions, a little oil and vinegar, salt and pepper, and put the top on the bread, cut it in half, goes to the wrapping station.
And how many of those do you think you sold in your life?
I don't know. Many millions, I'm sure.
You think it's more the success with your franchise? You think it's more marketing or more product? Is it 50-50? What do you think?
Well, I think you need to have a good product, although Subway has kind of proven that wrong. But yeah, I always thought that marketing was very important, you know. And also what was very important is motivating the franchisees. So I always preached about having passion, you know. Like it's important to have passion, to love what you do. In fact, just a quick story. Um, every year at our company, we had an annual convention, and at the convention, we would give out awards. So this one year, I was up on the stage presenting the awards, and the time came for presenting the Franchisee of the Year award, which was like the biggest award, right? So I announced the award, and it was to this woman. Her name was Vicky Sheldon, and she had her store in Pocatello, Idaho, of all places. And it was one of the best stores in the chain. And so I made the announcement. Vicky came up, walked up the stairs to the platform. And as I presented her the award, she leaned over to me and she said, "Tony, I love Blimpie. I love Blimpie." Imagine that. I was like, yeah, no wonder she's franchisee of the year. And, no wonder she was so successful. So that's what it took, and the franchisees that had the passion were the successful, the really successful ones, and the ones that didn't, not so great, maybe.
So we're moving in on Thanksgiving. Did you guys do any specific promotions around Thanksgiving? Did you sell turkey blimpies or?
Well, yeah, I mean, the turkey was one of our best-selling sandwiches anyway.
And it
So,
wasn't the pressed kind. It wasn't
The
the
what?
pressed turkey. It wasn't pressed turkey. It was real turkey.
real turkey. That's right. Not a what's the what's the term you use?
Polio mozzarella.
Polio, not a polio. Yeah.
Did you put anything special on a turkey? Like
Thanksgiving?
cranberry
I think
sauce?
I think we would do a special, like a cranberry type of thing, but which was good. It was good, but I always like go to the traditional way.
Yep. Billy, you got a question?
So,
Tell us a little bit about your book, Tony. Success is a beautiful thing.
well, our tagline, the Blimpie tagline for a long time was "Blimpie, it's a beautiful thing."
Hmm.
That was in our commercials, and that's what I preached in our commercials. So when I wrote the book, I decided that I should make it part of the title. And the book basically tells the history of the chain. Not so much. Some of the stuff that I told you earlier is in the book, but it's about not just about my history, but about lessons about life and business. And when I talked to you, when I just talked about passion, that was always top of mind for me. Um, I mean, I did the book, but I used to do a weekly newsletter to all the franchisees and all the staff. And in those days, this was before email, so we had to I had to write the thing out, and then I'd give it to my assistant. She would type it, and then we would reprint it and put it in envelopes, put a stamp on it, and mail it out. I did that every week, and that was in addition to the company newsletter. So communication was always very important,
Tony, how much
uh,
of your success do you attribute to luck?
to luck.
Yep.
Uh,
And can you give me an example of how you got lucky?
well, I think Yvonne just yelled out, "He married me," but that's kind of true.
We all can say that, or we've all got our own Yvonne.
um, I started the chain with two high school friends, and so I guess it was lucky that I ran into them that night at the party, and we started talking about going into business. Um, so I mean, I think that luck always plays some part in success. But, you don't wanna just count on being lucky to be successful.
No. When Billy and I wrote the book, we said anybody who doesn't in part attribute part of their success to luck is a liar. Because you got to be a little bit lucky. You have to have all the things you talked about. You have to have
Exactly.
passion. You have to have passion. You have to have a work ethic. But at some point in time, you've got to be lucky too.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Are you still in touch with those two high school friends?
No, one of them passed away a long time ago, And the other one, no, I have not been in touch with him for many years. Let me tell you a quick story about him, though. His name was Peter DiCarlo, and his uncle. We talked about the mob earlier. You know, his uncle was Gyp DiCarlo, who
Oh.
was the mob boss in New Jersey at that time, and he was a big deal. You know, I remember his face being on the cover of the old Life magazine. And if you ever saw the movie or the play Jersey Boys
Right.
about Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons,
Right.
Gyp DiCarlo was a character
Right.
in that. And he was a real guy. So anyway, in the early days, you know, we used to put vending machines in our stores, cigarette machine and a jukebox. You know, this was when people were everybody was smoking, and when there was no Spotify, so there were people that were dumping quarters in the jukebox constantly. So they were producing pretty good revenue. But the vending company, the machines did not cost us anything because the vending company would put the machines in the stores, but they would take 50% of the revenue, right? So one day we were opening a store in Bleecker Street in Greenwich Village, and we said, you know, why are we giving 50% of the revenue to the vending company? Let's just buy our own machines and put them in the store, right? So that's what we did. Next thing we know, my partner Peter gets a call. Your Uncle Gyp wants to see you. So they sent a limousine to pick him up, you know, and they take him to a hotel in New Jersey, and he walks into the room, and his uncle says, Peter, what are you doing here? You're stepping on toes.
Wow.
Needless to say, we took the machines out of the store and put the vending company machines in.
See, now
I was,
those are good stories.
yeah. I was going to ask how, so 1964. So I was going to ask how you circumvented the, you know, like monthly payment. So I guess maybe that's more-
Protection money he's talking about.
yeah. Ah,
Well,
they don't like that. They don't like that kind of talk around here.
he's disappeared again.
Yeah.
He was lucky he disappeared if he didn't pay for protection.
They solid, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm back.
Okay. So, Derek, can you rephrase your question? Or can you re-ask it?
I can't. How did you prevent? How did you keep from having to pay the mod? You know, to keep your stores open. Like, what? How'd you guys?
Well, I mean, look, you know, with the vending machine story I told, I mean, if Gyp wasn't my partner's uncle, who knows? They probably would have broken the windows on the store, or, you know. The mob had a lot of control at that time. But,
Yeah.
I mean, they never tried to muscle in on the operation of the store, you know.
You
So,
didn't have to pay. You didn't have to pay protection.
no, we
And
never did that.
you think that's because
Yeah.
maybe had him protected as a partner? That he was
As-
off limits.
As to what? I'm sorry.
You think your partner was off limits? Do you think his uncle maybe said, "Hey, leave this guy alone"?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For
Okay.
sure. Well, you know, we also took the machines out of this. Oh, you mean in general?
Yeah.
For like trying to
yes.
get, I mean, I don't know about that. Maybe, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll count yourself lucky one more time.
You know,
Yeah.
the mob was a big deal at that time, you know. They controlled everything.
It was an influence for sure, to say the least.
Yeah.
Say the
When
least.
I opened my bar in Queens, the first time I opened the bar, a couple of guys came by and they said, "You need plants. We're going to give you plants. You're going to rent them." I said, "I don't want plants from you. I'll buy my own plants." "No, you're going to buy plants, and you got to come up with a name." You know, I knew a guy who knew a guy, and then they came back and said, "It's okay. You don't need the plants." You know, you got to come up with a name. You got to come up with somebody who's connected.
Right.
Right. Exactly. Well, that's kind of like the vending machine deal,
Yeah.
you know. You had to
The
buy the
garbage, the
plants.
garbage
Yeah.
business. You can't get your garbage
Your
picked up.
garbage.
If you say like I'm going to use another company, you're charging me too much. You say you ain't using another company. There's only one company you can
Exactly.
use, and they're all connected.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question about this 20 store concept, the syndrome that you talked about in your book, the 20 store syndrome. Explain that to us.
20 store syndrome. um, I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember what that was about, actually.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to throw you a curveball. Uh,
Why don't you sort of give a description and then
It'll come back to him.
yeah.
yeah. Well, what setbacks did you encounter when you were expanding? I mean, what besides you got to be consistent with the product, right? Is that the number one thing?
Well, that's for sure. Yes. You have to definitely have a consistent product. You have to keep the stores clean. You know, when you have a franchise operation, um, you're not directly in control of running the stores. So we always had to make sure we had inspection teams and we would grade the stores, you know, go after them if they were violating, you know, the laws that we had down there. But I mean, that was always a challenge, keep the franchisees in line and
Right.
to motivate them. You know, that's
Didn't
why I would spend so much time talking about them having the passion because I always thought that having the passion was so important to achieving success.
Right. Actually, just going back to the 20 store syndrome, it's a phrase that you coined back in the day. It says that you describe the common and predictable challenge that occurs when a new sub-franchisor of the area
Okay.
developer. You remember now? Yeah.
Yeah. We had what we called
Mhm.
sub-franchisers
Yeah.
or area developers.
developers.
So we would sell a territory. Let's say we would sell the city of Houston. And our area developer would not legally, but effectively become like our partner for that territory. So they would sub-franchise within the territory. And, you know, when they would get to 20 stores, is there an arbitrary number, they would start incurring kind of problems that they didn't have when they were just a smaller chain, you know, because you got to control. They would have to then be in control of all the franchisees and make sure they're all performing like they're supposed to. So it was for me. It was not just motivating the franchisees, but it was motivating the area developers as well. That was always, you know, some of them again were very good, some of them were not so good. So the franchising business is challenging.
Yeah, you coined another phrase called the patch and plateau, which some people experience between 15 and 25 stores. So I have a question because you seem like a really down to earth guy, and you talk about starting this business with your high school friends. But when we really look at the details of your experience, you're a pretty sophisticated guy. Like you hired a marketing agency that was you could have hired any marketing agency, but you hired one of the best. And you had to be able to choose that marketing agency. So obviously ultra intelligent. And where do you get your sophistication from? Was it from your family, or how do you describe how you made these great choices?
Well, like I said, my family was great. You know, they were very honest people with a lot of integrity,
Right.
and they always instilled in me a really strong work ethic. So I was always willing to put in the work. But I spent a lot of time in business reading. You know, I would get my hands on every business book I could, and not just business, but marketing, um, And again, I'm always talking about passion, but
Right.
I like to read about writers that would write about having that
Having
kind of
that kind
thing,
of thing.
even if they didn't call it passion, maybe they called it something else, enthusiasm or.
Yeah.
But I always focused on that, so I s- basically self-taught.
Yeah.
And I
I didn't
bet
learn
you,
any of this stuff in college. I only went to 1 year of college.
yeah, but I bet you learned a lot on the street.
On the street, yeah, you learned a lot on the street. And I went to a very good high school, actually, believe it or not. And I think um, they were very, very strong on discipline. It was a Catholic high school.
Mm.
And they actually had a priest who was called the prefect of discipline. So, and, and this was a guy that, you didn't want to get on the wrong side of.
Right.
And in those days, they could just whack you over the head, So
So Tony, do you like to cook yourself?
I do, yeah. I mean, I don't cook that much, but I can knock out a pretty good piece of salmon with some broccoli and beans on the side.
So with Christmas is coming up, who's going to take care of the Feast of the Seven Fishes? You or Yvonne?
Well, Christmas we usually go to my daughter's. My daughter lives in Delray Beach. So we're in South Beach at that time of the year, so we'll go to Delray, and she makes some big, pasta fagioli or something. Manicotti.
Manigot with ricotta cheese.
Right.
What do you guys got? Any questions for Tony when we wrap up?
I got one more. I got a couple more questions, but one of them is you said you're sort of a trader now. So what kind of returns are we looking at these days?
For what? I'm sorry.
For your stock trading? Yeah.
Must be something you're saying, Derek.
Yeah, always. Every time I ask a question.
Hey, give me a tough question. Let's go blank.
Yeah.
So I have two different. I have a bank and an investment company that manage a bunch of my money, but then I also have an account with Charles Schwab that I like to manage myself,
Okay.
and I've been interested in precious metals for some time now.
Oh, so you've done well recently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially gold, right? Gold was crazy.
Gold, yeah, and I think silver's going a lot higher.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I don't want to be.
Don't want to put the kind of
I'll
horror on
get
it.
sued. Hey, Conza said silver's going a lot higher. Look, it went down to 20.
This is not financial advice by your first.
Don't want to put the Maloki on it.
Yeah, but I like all the metals now, like even copper and platinum and palladium.
And
So
did you see this coming?
I did.
Yeah.
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 Wow. So that means you really made it happen this year.
Well,
Last was actually.
I mean, it's not just this year. I mean, I've been there for a while, and
Yeah.
I
So
studied
there,
them.
so there, Derek.
Yeah.
I
He's been
study
there
the
a while,
market.
not just this year.
Yeah,
I read a lot about the markets, newsletters. I go to conferences, and I've read so many books about the market.
Well, don't take any advice from Billy O'Connor.
No,
Oh,
Billy.
What'd you say, Billy?
I couldn't pick a winner in a one-horse race.
I've never been a gambler. It's one thing I've never done. It's been
That's why you're
betting.
successful.
Yeah.
Well, you play the market, but you say you've never been a gambler. How can that? Sounds like a dichotomy.
Oh no. Yeah, there's a way to play the market that you can be a gambler, but I don't do that. I do research. I make, practical, logical decisions. I don't just, bet on wild speculations.
Yeah, he's not walking up there and saying, "Give me red."
$50,000 on bread.
I think somebody on the stream today is probably has done that a couple times in their life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
With
it's
them-
it's not me or you or Derek.
Yeah. Well, again, I tell you, Tony, if I bought a cemetery, people would stop dying.
Okay, that's kind
Do you like to do you like to travel much, Tony?
Well, I used to travel a lot, especially in business. I mean, in one year I took over 100 flights.
wow.
Yeah. So, but now, we have a little dog, and I don't like to leave him with anybody. So,
So where did you like to where did you like to go for vacation?
I mean, we've been to
Outside of Italy.
Australia, to Tanzania, to Italy, to Spain, to Greece, all those places. So,
And when did you know you had made it professionally? Or did you ever know you had made it professionally?
well, I've always been a happy person, and I've always spent my energies working on being successful. But at the end of the day, I always was ready to go have a cocktail and chill out and just enjoy life. So to me, that's success. Success
Yep.
is not about how much money you have, how much money you're making. It's about enjoying life. So I've always been good at that. And I think that's another thing that my parents taught me. My dad, he worked every day for his lifetime. But again, at the end of the day, he would have his glass of wine or a glass of scotch and enjoy his family and enjoy life. And that's what it's about,
Black Italian olives and a piece of provolone.
That's right.
And a good crusty Italian bread.
I was in Rome, and I was on a terrace above a coffee shop, espresso shop. And I saw this Italian guy coming back at 5 o'clock, and he was covered in dust. He was obviously concrete, granite, whatever he was working in Rome. But he had a bottle of wine, a loaf of Italian bread, and roses for the table. Yeah. And I said, that's it, man.
That's it.
It's a celebration. You come home for dinner, and he's going to have a good dinner, and that's his life, and that's it,
Yeah.
Well, Tony, you've lived a life well worth living, very admirable life, and you've been successful in everything you've done. And we couldn't be more pleased to have you on as our guest on the podcast.
Well, thank you. And coming from you, Frank, that's good to hear. It's an honor.
Well, thank you.
Because you've been pretty good yourself.
Well, the four of us have had our moments. I mean, Billy a few less than others, but
where are you, Billy? Where do you live?
I'm in California. I'm in the mountains of California.
Oh, okay.
Hey, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to brag on Billy. Billy was a retired New York City firefighter. He was a 9/11 first responder.
Oh, that's right.
He was an alcoholic. He imbibed in a few drugs. He was an illegal bookmaker. He owned a couple of bars, and at 59 years old, he decided to go back to school and get his journalism degree. And at 63, he graduated from the University of Florida with a degree in journalism. So I'm pretty proud to be associated with Billy.
Wow.
It's good to hear from you, brother. That's good to hear from you.
Yeah, that's a great
you make a few
story.
Wrong turns, you make a few wrong turns, and then hopefully you get back on the right road.
And the thing I forgot was most of those wrong turns were in Vietnam. Where he turned into a few houses.
My metal, Frankie boy, metal.
where he turned left into a few houses of ill repute.
Well, that's a small fault in a good man. That could happen to anybody.
So,
all right. Well,
before we let him go, let's Tony. Before you go, I got a couple I would like to give you 2 cigar recommendations.
Cigars. Oh, well, I love Padrones. You
Okay.
know,
Padrones. All right.
Padrones, and I also like the Oliva
Oh,
Series V.
number 2, yeah. Series
Series V, like
V.
in Victor.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
And you have to have some mezcal to go with it.
Oh, all right. I was going to ask that question. Mezcal, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're big mezcal fans here.
Do you ever go to Mexico City?
I went to Oaxaca.
Yeah.
That's where the mezcal comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah. See?
Oh, wow. Nice. Actually, it's one of my, not that particular one, but I love mezcal as well. So,
Oh, you do?
yeah, that's great.
Oh, good. Good.
And then, so I had the cocktail question, which you answered, which is awesome. And then we need some future stock picks. And this is not financial advice.
Oh, come on. I can't do that.
I know, I'm just messing with you.
You can call me and I'll talk to you on the phone about it.
Okay, I will.
I don't want it as a public record.
Yeah,
Just precious metals.
yeah. Yeah. Well, they're going to keep going too. Well, I know Frank wants to close it up. We appreciate you being here.
Nice meeting you, Tony. Really a pleasure, man. Really a pleasure meeting you.
Next week's guest, actor and newly crowned the King of Cookies, Paul Cassell.